It's Thursday, February 18th, and the time for your Barbados Today morning news update. The national immunization campaign against COVID-19 is picking up pace, reaching a rate of about 1,000 vaccinations a day. That was the latest update from Minister of Health and Wellness, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic. The vaccine arrived on the island just a week ago, and Minister Bostic said while there was skepticism among some people about taking the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, the number of people being vaccinated daily is continuing to rise. Speaking during Wednesday's press conference, Bostic also reminded people that they should only visit vaccination centers if they register and have received a telephone call to do so.
Pursuing a national vaccination program to prioritize and protect our frontline workers, persons with NCDs, and seniors. And I'm pleased to report that having started to test our systems last Wednesday with the vaccination of 30 people and increasing our numbers daily, as at yesterday evening, February 16th, Barbados had vaccinated 6,665 persons. That is nearly 1,000 people a day. Yesterday's daily dashboard showed the vaccination numbers for the first time and will hereafter reflect the daily vaccination numbers. And I want to say a word to those persons who are going to polyclinics and testing centers for vaccines. I've instructed the polyclinics and the testing centers that immediately the only persons who should be coming to those installations for vaccines are persons who are 70 and over, persons who are below 70 and who have and over 16 and who have chronic NCDs, and those persons will receive a telephone call after registering from the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Vaccine Committee, and those persons will be told exactly where and when to go to receive their vaccines.
Minister Bostic also said that school and private medical institutions are being considered as centers in the vaccination rollout in order to release some of the pressure on the island's polyclinics.
I can say yes, that there are some schools and other facilities that are on the cards, and the team, the vaccination coordinating team, Major Clark, Dr. Ferdinand, they are in the process and they're doing it on a daily basis of putting things in place so that those facilities can be up and running. I can say yes, we have coordinated, we've asked, we've requested assistance from BAMP, private doctors, from the BNA. We've had some assistance, but we need more. And I would ask those entities to kindly speak to their membership so that we can have more personnel available to open those facilities, to take some of the strain off of the polyclinics. Not all of the polyclinics will be involved in the exercise going forward because we still have to maintain other public health areas.
Barbadians over 70 years old and those 18 to 69 with chronic non-communicable diseases and other underlying health conditions went to polyclinics across the island yesterday to get the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. Long lines were observed at polyclinics, some of which remained closed to facilitate the vaccination of hundreds of people who went to the various locations by appointment. Here's what some of those waiting to get vaccinated told Barbados Today.
I did my research and, I looked at the Moderna and the Pfizer, which is based on the mRNA, which is a newer technology, a newer vaccine, type of vaccine. The Oxford AstraZeneca is based on an older vaccination type, which is the same type as, when you had measles and stuff. So to me, that the efficacy is not as high as the others, but they have more of a track record with the vaccine and that type of vaccine. So, I'm here to take it, and I hope other people take it because we're in a pandemic and we want the world to open back up.
I take keep my health, make sure that it's okay and everything. I'm 73 years old, and I'm taking the chances, right? So I want to take it.
We think it's necessary for us at our age. We believe that it's going to help the situation, and we are following the instructions from the scientists. That's what we're doing. And others.
I heard that it's supposed to make you feel better. So that's why I'm here.
Would you advise other elderly folks to come over?
Sure, yeah. We had it before, years ago before. I had no problem with it.
Several persons were hauled before the law courts yesterday for breach of COVID-19 protocols. Among them were 2 prison officers who were accused of attending a lime and breaching curfew as well as failing to wear a mask. And head of the COVID-19 monitoring unit, Ronald Chapman, said the development was concerning.
That is particularly concerning. I don't even know if I can make a comment on that one. That is particularly concerning. It tells me a number of things. One, either we're not getting the message out there strong enough, or 2, persons feel that they're not necessarily beholden to the regulations, and which they are. I would hope that this is not a continuing trend, and I would hope that after today's proceedings, we see a lowering of the temperature with respect to hang out in bars and little places where they think that they are not seen. And I must tell Barbadians, most if not all of the cases that we would have brought before the law court are cases where we got tip-offs. So people are seeing you, and they are quietly reporting you, and I want Barbadians to know any report they make, they don't have to give their name, they don't have to give their number, they don't have to give their address. They just have to tell us where something is happening, and we will respond, because we really need to bring this thing under control.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region, authorities in Guyana to suspend a search for a small vessel which had been previously discovered with a number of dead bodies on board in the country's waters. But just as the investigations began, the vessel reportedly disappeared without a trace. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana reports.
The Guyana Coast Guard and its supporting agencies are preparing to call off the search for the small vessel that was spotted 2 days ago in Guyana's waters with a number of dead bodies aboard. Last evening, Public Works Minister Juan Edgel called a press conference to announce that the boat had disappeared and the authorities had no clue of its whereabouts.
So we have 3 different dispatches of vessels by way of water, 2 boats off of the northwest, 1 boat that was already out at sea, moving from its position into that general area, and this afternoon a dispatch with the Guyana Defense Force Coast Guard just after 5 o'clock. And we've had 2 aerial surveillance covering about 5 hours of aerial search. We have not had a sighting of that boat.
The vessel was last seen on Monday night at about 80 miles off the coast of Guyana. The crew of an outgoing vessel that first discovered the boat and made the emergency calls was asked to keep an eye on it so that the local authorities could be mobilized to head out to sea. The Coast Guard and supporting agencies did not head out to sea until more than 15 hours later.
And finally, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines is generating hope but warns that vaccine equity is the biggest moral test before the global community at this time. He made the comments during a UN Open Debate Forum on the topic, ensuring the equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines in contexts affected by conflict and insecurity.
COVID-19 continues its merciless march across the world, defending lives, destroying economies, and undermining the sustainable development goals. And the pandemic is exacerbating all the factors that drive instability, hindering our efforts to implement Security Council Resolution 2532 for the cessation of hostilities, for conflict prevention and resolution. Defeating COVID-19, now that we have begun to have the scientific capacity to do so, is more important than ever. The rollout of COVID-19 vaccines is generating hope. But at this critical moment, vaccine equity is the biggest moral test before the global community. We must ensure that everybody, everywhere, can be vaccinated as soon as possible. Yet progress on vaccinations has been widely uneven and unfair. If the virus is allowed to spread like wildfire in the global south or parts of it, it will mutate again and again. And new variants could become more transmissible, more deadly, and potentially threaten the effectiveness of current vaccines and diagnostics. This can prolong the pandemic significantly, enabling the virus to come back to plague the global north. And it will also delay the world economic recovery.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.